This is my 14th video of this series. Check out the playlist if you want to see more sermons excerpts. Hopefully you'll enjoy. Thank you so much for listening. An economic party of South Africa, referred to as Economic Freedom Fighters, or EFF, celebrated their 10th anniversary since their founding. Different speakers highlighted the event, including Dr. Patrick Loch Otieno Lumumba. He speaks about our collective's troubled history, what he hopes we can achieve, and what really binds us together despite our different cultures, globally speaking. The images will be family-oriented, even though this is a community-centered, intercultural theme. And essentially, we are one big family if you think about it. Lecture by Dr. Patrick Loch Otieno Lumumba.
I remember so very vividly in this land, in this South Africa, in this land where one of the greatest crimes ever committed by man was unleashed, the crime of apartheid. In this land, there came men who, in their misguided view, took the view that the black man was the child of a lesser God. They introduced one of the most egregious crimes ever known to man. They committed crimes of man's inhumanity to man. For many years, this land suffered under the yoke of apartheid. But you are not alone. Before that, the African was subjected to slavery. Our kith and kin were taken away into different parts of the world. They were taken away to Europe. They built Europe. They were taken away to the United States of America. They built the United States of America. They were taken away to the Caribbean. They built the Caribbean. Then after slavery had lost its lust and attraction, they pretended to ban slavery. But it came again in a different form. And sitting in Berlin in 1884 and 1885, those same diabolical peoples divided our continent into little pieces. They came here. The Dutch were here. They went to what is now Namibia. The Germans were here. They went to Angola and Mozambique and Guinea-Bissau and Cabo Verde. The Portuguese were here. They came to Nyasaland. They came to what was then Rhodesia and Zambia. And they went to Kenya and Uganda and Ghana and Nigeria and Sierra Leone and Gambia. The British were here. Then the French also came. They were here. They went to Dahomey, now Benin, to Togo, to Cameroon, to Cote d'Ivoire, to Senegal, to Mauritania, to Algeria. The French were here. The Italians were here. They came to Somalia. They went to Libya. They were here. The Belgians were here. They went to Congo. The Spanish were here. They went to Sao Tome and Principe. They were here. The Belgians, of course, and the Germans went to Rwanda and Urundi. They were here. All of them were here. And what they did was to remind us, if we needed reminding at all, that they were here to stay. I feel sad when young Africans think that grass is greener on the other side. I feel sad. I feel sad when the white man comes here and humiliates us. I feel sad. I feel sad when the Chinese come here and humiliate us. I feel sad. I know not whether you feel sad with me, but I'm inviting you to feel sad with me. I feel sad when our continent is abused by other civilizations. I feel sad. But for how long shall we merely feel sad? For how long shall we lament? For how long shall we mourn? For how long shall we agonize? For how long? This is why I understand the economic freedom fighters. This is why I'm here with you to celebrate your 10th anniversary. This is why I think you are doing the right thing. Because 10 years ago you made the correct diagnosis. You made the correct diagnosis. You discovered that they gave us the crown without the jewels. You discovered that they gave us an empty vessel. You discovered that political freedom in and of itself is empty. You discovered that you cannot, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., ask a person with no legs and no boots to lift himself or herself by the bootstraps. You recognize that. You discovered that we must rediscover ourselves, that we must re-educate ourselves. You discovered and gave meaning to those famous words of the great Nigerian singer Femi Anikula Pokuti when he said, "Teacher, don't teach me nonsense because we have been taught nonsense for too long." You discovered and said it as he did, Carter G. Woodson in 1933, that we had been miseducated for too long and that we ought to re-educate ourselves. You discovered with my countryman Ngugi wa Thiong'o that we must decolonize our minds. You discovered with Chinua Achebe that we have been divided and things are falling apart. That is why you are here today. So we are here to celebrate, because celebrate we must. We are here to commemorate, because commemorate we must. But we are here also to remind our enemies, and there is no shortage of them out there. There is no shortage of them. They come in the thousands, they come in the millions. But history has taught us and is teaching us always that we shall triumph. Oh, we cannot fail. We cannot afford the luxury of not failing. Oh, we cannot. I hear our enemies saying that we are saying too much. We will continue to say we have not talked enough. And if they wonder why we are saying what we are saying, let them go even to their holy books. And we are told in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God. We are giving meaning to the Word. We will continue to talk, but we will also act. We cannot allow ourselves to be under the tutelage of the International Monetary Fund. We cannot, and we must not. We must not allow ourselves to be slaves of the World Bank. We must not. We must not allow ourselves to be told who our friends are and who our enemies are and what we should and should not do. We cannot be the tail that is wagged by the dog all the time. The time has come that we must do the things that are in our best interest. And that will only happen when we are economically emancipated. You know, they say that he or she who pays the piper calls the tune. For too long we have not paid the piper. We must now pay our piper that we may call the tune. EFF, you are now telling us how to pay the piper. You are now telling us that going forward we must now economically emancipate ourselves. We cannot be a continent whose greatest claim to fame is that we are in the business of borrowing. We have borrowed for too long. We've been abused for too long. And the time, therefore, is now for this spirit of the EFF to spread. 10 years ago, when my good friend Julius Selomalem and his comrades in arms sat somewhere here in South Africa, and the revelation was given unto them that the last colonial question was economic emancipation. It was a revelation. And they said that we must have economic freedom in our lifetime. This idea that economic freedom is a pie in the sky that we only dream about is without basis. We can get it now. We cannot be a continent where our economies are dominated by the smallest proportion of the population. We cannot be, and we must not be. And economic freedom fighters are urging you that we must now be in the business of spreading this message to the rest of the continent. This spirit must now spread. This spirit must have a foothold in Johannesburg, it must. Or it must have a foothold in Maseru, in Lesotho, it must. Or it must climb up to Mbambane in Eswatini. Or it must go to Maputo in Mozambique. Or it must go to Windhoek in Namibia. Or it must climb up to Lilongwe in Malawi. It must go to Lusaka in Zambia. It must go to Luanda in Angola. It must go to Kampala in Uganda. It must go to Hargeisa in Somaliland. Oh, it must not stop there. It must go to Nairobi in Kenya. It must go to Dodoma in Tanzania. No, it must not stop there. It must go to Kinshasa. Oh, it must go to Bangui. Oh, it must go to Lomé. It must go to Cotonou. Oh, it must not stop there. It must go to Juba and to Addis Ababa and to Asmara and to Sudan in Khartoum. It must go to Cairo. Oh, it must not stop there. It must go to Tunis in Tunisia. Oh, it must go to N'Djamena. It must go to Ouagadougou. It must go to Nouakchott. It must go to Accra. Oh, it must go to Monrovia. Oh, it must go to Rabat. Oh, it must go to Algiers. It must go to Monrovia. It must go everywhere in Africa. This spirit must go there. It is only when that spirit is present in every part of Africa that we shall shake Africa. When it is there, we shall no longer have visas in Africa. No, we shall not. Oh, when it is there, we shall no longer have the rand. Oh, no. We shall no longer have all these currencies. There shall only be one currency, and we shall be economically liberated. Oh, it shall happen, and it must happen. There are those who think it cannot happen. Oh, but they are mistaken. They are mistaken because I remember those words of the great Ghanaian James Emmons Kwejiragri. And I remember the little story that he used to tell. The story of the chicken and the story of the eagle. And Kwejiragri used to tell us that there was a chicken farmer, and that this chicken farmer had chicken, and that one day some of the chicks wandered into the wilderness, and when they came back, there was amongst them the chick of an eagle, and he fed them on chicken feed for a long time. And one day a naturalist came and saw the eaglet and said, "This is an eagle amongst chicken." And the farmer said, "Yes, it is an eaglet, but we have fed it on chicken feed for too long. It is no longer an eagle." And the farmer said, "No," or the naturalist said, "No, once an eagle, always an eagle." And he tried to put it on the palm of his hand, and it refused to fly. And the poultry farmer said, "I told you, it was once an eagle. We have fed it on chicken feed for a long time. It has lost its eaglehood. It has acquired chickenhood." The naturalist came back and said, "Let me try again." And he put it on the palm of his hand, and it flew away. And he turned to the farmer and said, "I told you, once an eagle, even if you feed it on chicken feed, it will remain an eagle." Oh, they thought that they had fed it on chicken feed. We are eagles, and we shall fly, and we shall soar, and we shall be economically liberated. And when we are economically liberated, we shall be equal with everybody in the world, if not better. And we must be. Let that spirit now descend. Let us go out into the world and tell all the doubting Thomases that it shall never be the same again. That it shall never be the same again. Because from here and now, we are taking a solemn vow that from this generation and generations yet to be born, we shall liberate Africa by ensuring that the chains of economic colonization are removed. And you in the EFF, you the fighters, you the commissars, you the commander-in-chief, go out there and tell South Africa and the world that the next 10 years are the 10 years of total liberation. The next 10 years are the years of liberation. You know, we have complained for too long. We are not going to complain anymore. We have agonized for too long. We are not going to agonize anymore. We have moralized for too long. We are not going to moralize anymore. We have philosophized for too long. We are not going to philosophize anymore. We have intellectualized for too long. We are not going to intellectualize anymore. We are going to act.
For more information about this speech, it is entitled, Professor Patrick Lumumba delivers the EFF 10th Anniversary Lecture, SABC News. Well, I hope this dialogue reflected great values and was empowering. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for more.